Next on Worcester News Tonight, a Worcester City Councilor says he's had enough of nightmarish traffic during rush hour. He's now asking the city to step in and help. Plus, the Better Business Bureau is telling people to keep an eye out for scammers during tax season. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. A city councilor is asking Worcester to step up and help alleviate some traffic issues. Councilor Gary Rosen says the city's in need of a comprehensive, long-term plan to help cars travel through the city easier during rush hour. Tonight, he took his concerns in front of the rest of council. Our Cam Jandros live in Worcester tonight with more. Cam?
Anna, Councilor Rosen was in traffic on 290 when he came up with this idea. He says with the growth of the airport and a ballpark on its way, it's important to take care of this issue now before it becomes too late.
And it is a nightmare, and I think everyone in the city can agree with that.
For City Councilor Gary Rosen, rush hour traffic in Worcester is a daily nuisance.
I know the streets weren't meant for so many cars, but we can't keep using that as an excuse, and we have to have some long-range plan. It's getting worse.
The at-large councilor is hoping to start a conversation with the city on how to create an easier commute between 3 and 6 p.m. Some drivers on the road Tuesday say the ride home is often longer than expected.
The merging from 190 down to 290 is a nightmare also, where the lanes cut down and there literally isn't enough space.
It's bumper to bumper.
Rosen points at Lincoln Street, Kelly Square, and Highland Street among some of the city's most congested spots. He says as the city grows, now is the time to alleviate some of the traffic.
Making our roads safe and allowing people to drive at a reasonable speed to get through our city, to maneuver our city, is important for our economic development in the future, too.
The concern goes beyond city streets, though. Rosen wants to look at Interstate 290 as well, where gridlock on the highway and its off-ramps is a frequent problem.
290 may have too many exits on it. Definitely need to do something to divert all that traffic.
Now, Councilor Rosen says he's hoping to work with the city administration as well as a few traffic engineers so they can develop a new plan for the city's traffic issues and have it within the next few years. Live in Worcester tonight, I'm Kim Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
The Worcester Redevelopment Authority is looking for public input on the future of the Midtown Mall. Last month, the WRA said they wanted to see an upgrade to the property on Front Street. The authority has even looked into the idea of taking the building via eminent domain if the owner does not agree to make significant improvements. The public hearing will take place on April 4th at Worcester City Hall. The meeting is set to start at 5:30. The Better Business Bureau is warning people of popular scams during tax season. Director of Customer Engagement Kim Case says this time of year people run into the tax identity theft scams. She says there are many different ways scammers try to obtain information, including pretending to be the IRS over the phone and claiming they have a tax return, or by sending requests through the mail.
The Better Business Bureau strongly recommends never to give your personal information, such as your social security number or a credit card number, to anyone over the phone. Don't give it to them through email. Use secure websites when you're doing online purchase transactions.
Case says to make sure you go directly through government websites such as irs.gov to ensure you're not tapping into fraudulent sites. Assumption College held a lecture today on their campus to discuss the similarities and differences between Christians and Muslims. The lecture was named "Do Muslims and Christians Believe in the Same God?" Speaker and Associate Professor of Theology at Providence College, Sandra Keating, highlighted both religions and hopes this open dialogue will lead to Muslims and Christians treating each other like brothers and sisters.
There are some differences. Sometimes these differences have actually profound consequences, but those consequences should never lead us to violence with one another.
Keating says she planned this lecture months ago, but put more emphasis on it because of the attacks of 2 mosques in New Zealand last week. Gerardo's Bakery in West Boylston is offering a sweet treat Tuesday in honor of St. Joseph's Day. Zeppelis are back in stock for a limited time. They're a staple for St. Joseph's Day, which is a Roman Catholic feast day commemorating the life of the stepfather of Jesus and husband of Mary. Gerardo's Bakery says crews worked to make about 1,500 Zeppelis for their 3 different locations in Central Mass.
We started last night and then we finished them off early this morning. My night bakers cut them for us, and then as the decorators came in, we started filling them. And we fill them as we need them. We look forward to St. Joseph's Day. It usually falls right around St. Patrick's Day, so right after St. Patrick's Day with the Irish soda bread, people come out and get their Zeppeli.
Gerardo's Bakery says they'll be selling any leftover Zeppelis tomorrow at their locations. Changing subjects now, 7 residents are hospitalized after a fire broke out at a Worcester 3-decker earlier this morning. When firefighters arrived, residents were screaming for help. Our Rosalind Flaherty has more from a woman who was trapped inside.
Cell phone video captures flames shooting out of this 3-decker in Worcester. Ashley Othau was one of 7 people trapped inside. She didn't think she was going to make it out alive.
Tried to get down the front stairs. The smoke was so thick. We ran to the back stairs. We didn't think we were going to make it. I wanted to jump.
Firefighters say people were hanging out of the windows when they arrived. They rescued Othau and 7 others using ladders. 5 adults and 2 children were transported to the hospital, including her boyfriend.
He's in ICU. He was the worst one. They said he's in ICU for probably 48 hours.
Her neighbor, Carlos Nunez, says he woke up to yelling.
A lot of people make noise. So I said, oh, the landlord said, get out of the building, get out, get out, get out.
Othau lost her cat in the fire, but says she is thankful for the firefighters who saved her life.
Smoke was just everywhere. I don't know if I would be able to breathe anymore. I can't thank you, and I'd like to find out who they are and, do something for them.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
A Worcester Public School Committee member is concerned over possible pollution at an elementary school. Dante Comparetto says having a dry cleaner next door to the Gates Lane school could be a problem. Last month, White and Bright Cleaners had been fined by the state for committing air quality and hazardous waste issues. Comparetto says these issues have affected a nearby home. He says with children next door, the possible issue needs to be investigated.
PCE levels, well above safe limits. PCEs are a real concern. They've shown to increase, kidney, liver damage, cancer, a whole slew of health problems. If the residential properties surrounding White Bright are having real issues of contamination, then there's a good chance that the students, staff, and educators here at Gates Lane are probably at risk too.
Comparetto filed the agenda item, which will be brought up at Thursday's committee meeting. Southbridge Innovation Center announces a master plan for their industrial park. The industrial park project began years ago, and the companies located there employ more than 400 people. Tuesday, Franklin Realty Advisors announced a master plan to add open space for the public as well as biking and hiking trails. The park's cogeneration facility also went online to reduce their carbon footprint and energy costs for tenants.
Which is one of the more efficient ways to generate energy. You basically generate electricity, and the heat from that generation, you reuse the waste heat for steam and hot water and cold water, believe it or not. And you use that waste heat to heat and cool your buildings.
The park is the largest taxpayer in town. There's 400,000 square feet left, which will be used for manufacturing and housing. Worcester is one step closer to selecting a construction manager for Polar Park. The city's selection committee is recommending Gilbane Hunt for the job. The joint venture has experience working on Major League and AAA ballparks. They've also worked on Worcester sites like the Trial Court and WPI. The Worcester Redevelopment Authority plans to make the vote on Wednesday. Next month, the DCU Center will be inviting guests to do something on ice they've never offered before. People can come in and paint the ice on April 29th. The DCU's marketing coordinator says the goal is to have the community get together and paint images of Worcester's history.
The railers are hopefully in the playoffs, and even if not, it's a great way to kind of conclude the season as well, to come paint the railers ice. It's a cool opportunity for the fans. We talked with the Worcester Historical Museum, and they've kind of helped us come up with a guide that speaks to the most prominent things in the history. So, you know, you've got the rocket and the Valentine and of course the smiley face, but the history of Worcester means something different to everybody.
The DCU Center says you don't have to be an artist to participate.